Okay, everyone. So I finally have enough of a grasp of Canva so I can make some better videos where I can use slides and show people things and illustrate points in a much better fashion than simply abstractly talking as a talking head. So what I'm going to talk about right now is about what's called the Great Goddess. And this is one of those concepts that's kind of been lost. First of all, because we haven't had a goddess in about 1,500 years or so, significantly. Uh, that depends on your place and what people's beliefs are. But the great god and the great goddess were these were concepts that were um, fairly common in the ancient world, and this has kind of been reconstructed by some people uh, where we have this idea that all the goddesses are, in fact, accessible through one great goddess. And this concept, you would find goddesses like Isis or Freya or Cybele, a few others that are clearly, like Rhea is another one. These are goddesses who people would propitiate these goddesses with the understanding that these were sort of a composite of the entire feminine divinity. And this is at least partially where we get our universal God from, where we have a God who represents all of the other gods. This is implicit in this. And this sort of, I suspect, was a backdoor that the Universalists used essentially to bring in a monotheism, because this concept existed, and you could do this sort of thing without causing as much necessarily as much um, consternation as people might think, because you're accessing all these other gods through one god. You want all the male gods, you go through Zeus. Want all the female gods, you go through Gaia, you go through Rhea, you go through Cybele, you go through Odin, you go through Thor. It doesn't matter exactly where, it depends on your time and place what your great god or great goddess was. Now, let's bring this into astrology, because it's my belief that astrology is got a lot of this information in it, but we don't know how to use it, because astrology has been abstracted into something used for horoscopes, and it's lost its original religious meaning, and it had lost it about 2,000 years ago. The only people I think who were holding on to it were probably mystery cultists, and ironically, the Nazarene Jews and the early Christians were using the zodiac as a symbol up until at least the 11th or 12th century. The zodiac was being used as a symbol by Christians and by Jews. And you can find some zodiacs going up until like the 16th century in monasteries. So this is a hidden fact, and it shouldn't be hidden anymore. Jesus was the fulfillment of a stellar prophecy. That's not hidden. So moving into this, the doctrine of sect, when it's applied religiously, gives us two sects, and it gives us a great god, and it gives us a great goddess, essentially, who are manifest through two trinities. You remember trinities; they show up in Catholicism, and they weren't new. So we've got two trinities. We have the night sect trinity, which is the moon, who is the luminary, who's basically by her very nature expresses this entire sect. She is the lunar sect. However, we also have a benefic planet, which is Venus, and the benefic essentially tends to harmonize and promote and advocate for and embody kind of the most positive aspects of this sect. And then we have Mars, which is the malefic. And the malefic, this isn't just good and bad here. This is one of these things that you need to see this as a cosmological, like ecosystem, like a cycle, a cyclical natural religion that we're talking about here. Mars is definitely part of the sect. He is focused on the body, and the lunar sect is focused on embodiment, being in the body, and also our most primal animal nature, the nature that is in the body. It is not abstract, it's not transcendent, it's up close. It is the body. And Night Sect is about embodiment. Its reach is very small. It's, things you can see in front of you, things that are concrete. And again, these are also parts of our nature. So the moon is very empathic and deeply emotional. It's very watery and profoundly linked to our animal nature in a general sense, and very semiotic. It's got a ton to do with our childhood. And that's really the moon, more than these other, the benefic or the malefic, is about childhood and the mother-child relationship and parenting, specifically mothering. And so the other two bring us into a more adult sort of part of the lunar sect. They are definitely pushing like at the edges somewhat of what is childhood, but they're sort of innocence of mind, but not innocence of deed. So shall we say they're not. Morality and ideas like that are just not that much a part of this sect. What is good and what's bad. This is about animal nature and how we're archetypally constructed. So Mars is, rather than being simply bad, Mars is actually sort of like the guardian of this space. He's the, while Venus is about harmonizing and beauty and sensuality, Mars is about the things that disturb us, that are conflicted within us, that cause us to put us into a state of frenzy, put us into a state where we need to, we either become highly sexually aroused into action, or we become violent, essentially, and we realize we have to defend ourselves. Um, Now, this gets much bigger, and I won't go past that right now. So the day sect, now we're into abstractions. We're into transparency, things that are not solid. Our luminary is the sun. The sun, obviously, is the embodiment of the day sect. It is the day. It makes the day. When it's not there, it's not day. Very simple. But what this is lofty. It is up high. You can't look at it during the day because it's too strong. It's our ability to discern the world, our ability to make sense and structure the world, our ability to um, create abstractions that explain the world and then allow us to understand the laws of the world. Um, Through the action of Jupiter, and again, this is a benefic, but this belongs to the sun. And I assume ancient people didn't know this, but obviously these two outer planets, they're slower moving, and they're much larger, and they are gaseous themselves, so they actually don't have their bodies are either they're not solid in the way that the other planets are, which of course is a fantastic mystery that ancient people figured this out. But they did. They absolutely did, and it's incredible. So Jupiter essentially tries to expand on this and all of the good things about ideas, which are belief in a better world, belief in a transcendent world, belief in something that's um, can give us identity, like a nation, a religion. Um, these are abstractions. They always will be abstractions, but they carry a ton of weight with us. So the day sect is considered the greater sect, and the night sect is the lesser, because for many reasons. But the when we're talking about ideas, ideas can change the world in profound ways that simple changes in your body cannot. However, you can't change anything in the world if your body is not in line with it. So the body and the mind have to be put into line. They have to be made into one unit, essentially, and you can't do it by force, which is why we have marriages between the day and the night sect. That is entirely how and why we have existence at all, because the two sects are married. Now, in the day sect, Saturn is the malefic, and this is, again, we have a good bad kind of thing here, but that's not exactly correct. Mars and Saturn bring you closer to death and are more likely to kill you than any other planet. That's not always true, because if Jupiter can make you fat, and Venus too can cause addictions and other things that will bring you into bring you to death, but it'll be not quite like having your throat cut or being hacked by Mars, or having a wasting disease that Saturn will give you. So Saturn is in the day sect, so he's actually about ideas, which is why he's not welcome in the world of the body. In terms of he's not, we don't, none of us want Saturn in our body. Unfortunately, he is there. But he's about ideas, and what he does is he gives weight to ideas. What does that mean? That means laws. That means you have actions that, if you transgress against the law, there's consequence. So that is what gives weight to ideas. Saturn gives weight to ideas. And if your ideas don't line up with the physical reality, if they don't line up with the beliefs of the people that you're trying to put them, enforce them on, then you're going to have a problem. And whatever structures, your government, your religion, whatever it is that you've built up, is going to be undercut, because you're not in line with the reality of the people, of the earth, of what is going on. So that's Saturn's job, and when he's giving weight to ideas, and those ideas line up with the physical reality, then you've got something good. And it's not good if you're on the wrong side of it. If you violate it, then Saturn provides your consequences, and Mars enforces them. Mars will be the one who shows up and cuts your hand off, or takes your eye out, or cuts your tongue off, or cuts your head off. Whatever it is that needs to be done, Mars is the policeman to Saturn's judicial. So this is basically what these sects are doing. So what we need to understand further is that this is two religions. When they said sect, they meant sect. These are sects, and that may seem extremely weird to people nowadays. Like, what do you mean? You've got a goddess religion and you've got a god religion. Well, yes, and we know exactly what that was. That was the night sect. Was the mystery cults. These were goddess cults. These were the Eleusis, the Eleusinian mysteries. What would happen there was you would go to a place physically, and you would be brought into a up close and personal experience. Your body would experience this. There would be a period of fasting. There would be chanting, there would be drumming, there would be music. There would be probably sensual activities of which nobody was allowed to speak of because probably would have violated a lot of people's ethics even back then. And then they would haze you. They would give you, potentially traumatic experiences that are not pleasant. They know that's true, that these were often rather cruel, um, starve you, keep you awake, scare the hell out of you. And yes, administer drugs to bring you into a state where you're alternately in a coma, potentially, where you're brought to next to the point of death, and where you have to, deal with the fact that you're going to die with your own mortality, and also bringing you into a state of potentially a frenzy where you're absolutely sexually put into a state of uh, priapism among males, or whatever the opposite of that for females is. It's a little different. But this is your body being worked upon in a full experience that's up close and personal by priests who are uh, of heritage, and this is not, at least the Eleusinian and several other mysteries were not about your blood. You did not have to be upper class or any particular race, or even of, you had to speak Greek at least for the Eleusinian mysteries because you had to understand what they were saying. But this was not reserved for the people at the top. Now there were mystery cults that were reserved for the people at the top. And if you went back and repeated the mysteries over and over, you could get a place as one of the priests, essentially, or priestesses, conducting the rituals, and you would be in the cult, not just initiated, but then you would be, move through the cult. And there was definitely higher levels going on there. So this is the goddess religion, and this is what you find in the first 6 houses of the zodiac. And there it is. So this is our house joys, and I say these things because we look at this. We look at what our planets in the sects are. We see our night sect planets all there down at the bottom, and we see our day sect planets up there in the daytime. No surprise there, and that's going to follow whatever signs are in those places at any particular time of day. If you're Sagittarius rising, you're going to have Gemini across the away from that in the 7th house. This doesn't change. This is it's going to be whatever is your rising is your rising, and the joys don't change. They sit where they are in the houses. Now, as far as people who use bisected houses, I'm not going to deal with that right now because that's a whole other issue, another abstraction. So we have our night sect, which works, as a religion, a particular type of religion. These were not exclusive religions. This is something you need to understand. It's not like you're going to go. The ancient people were welcome to go to day sect things, which means, and the day sect was public ritual. This was things that were done out in the open for everybody to come and see. You might not be allowed to go if you're, a foreigner, or if you're. Some would be definitely based on your class or royalty. So there would be public, uh, you know, um, when I say public, out in the open rituals that everybody wasn't invited to go to. But a lot of this was ritual drama in front of people, where the priest is sacrificing something, and he's doing it. They want the public there because they're making a show, to show people that they're acting on their behalf to, make sure the crops are good. make sure that the gods are with them for the war that they're going to start, um, or the war that's the neighbors are inflicting upon you. So these are two very different things. This is the top of the zodiac is hierarchical. This is where you have priests who are trained, who are it may even be the king. It might be the priest in a lot of these places. Like the pharaoh would, there's a good chance the pharaoh would be doing some of these things, depending upon how the society was structured at the time. But divine right of kings was absolutely a thing. So these are the ideas that we have about separation of state and church are irrelevant. These are not they're not a thing. So and our ideas are also they're abstract, and in some ways they're out of touch because secular people are far more dogmatic and religious than they realize. But that's a whole other issue. So this is our real division here is we have two sects, and these day sect planets work in abstractions. They work with ideas. And as I said, ideas, a nation is an idea. Government is an idea. Religion is an idea. But that doesn't, we need to understand that that doesn't mean there's not a religion down below. The goddess had a very specific religion. And that could go, well, we might say, oh, well, that's great. We got that brings the goddess back into our life, and this is, what we need to do. And you do need to understand that there is a goddess, because there is. But what this can manifest in is too much superstition, too much religiosity in daily life. If you, the day sect is, there's plenty of potential problems with that. And I'm giving a class, as I said, that's on this topic. And it's going to bring the Persephone myth into this. And this class is about 4 hours long, where I will put all of this together to show people that this the natural zodiac is in fact the chart of Persephone, of the life force as it goes through the year, and these houses. This is when we should be superimposing the houses on the zodiac, because this is how we get all the information about the rulers of the signs and the house joys. You put it all together and you get the understanding that the Persephone myth is embedded in the zodiac. That is incontrovertible as far as I'm concerned. The zodiac is structured on the Homeric hymn to Persephone. So that's a ton of information, and I'm going to leave you with that for today. Again, my class is dropping now. You can sign up for it on my website. I will be getting the actual classes out to people um, within a week. It will show up in your the class will show up, and you'll be able to watch the all of that then.